Nobody deserves it more.
Herbert pressured again, slings, and it's caught by Johnston. And now the ball is loose. Washington recovers. Johnston had it, and then he fumbled it, and the Commanders get a big break as Marshawn Lattimore comes up with it. Believe it was Quan Martin who forced the fumble.
Did that play save the game? It seemed like it. You know, we were headed towards another week of doom and gloom storylines until that hit by Quan Martin. Plays in the second quarter, they rarely decide games, but that one definitely changed the game and probably put us into position to have a nice Victory Monday and a pleasant week ahead. Good morning, everybody. Max is here with me. Ben will join us. He is back from L.A. He'll join us at 12. Plenty of time for you. My game take coming up. Quan Martin said about the hit on Quentin Johnston after the game that caused the fumble with 8 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first half. Quote, "Violence solves everything," closed quote. When it comes to the sport he plays, he's not wrong. And that violence solved a looming problem for sure. The Chargers were up 10-0 on their way to making it either 13-0, best case, 17-0, worst case. They were on their way to eating another 2, 3, 4 minutes of the clock, which they had already dominated. Without that turnover, Washington would have been in a heap of trouble. They would have been in a big hole. And don't forget, before that fumble, because everything that came after it is what we really kind of remember about how well they played, both sides of the ball, star performances, several big moments and big plays that for the most part went their way. But before that fumble, it had been a 22-minute beatdown. I mean, major beatdown. The offense in 2 drives went punt and then punt again. The defense had given up in just a quarter and a half 179 yards and 10 points, and more of both seemed to be coming. I know that Dan Quinn said after the game about being down 10-0, he said, "I looked up and saw 10-0, and I said, blank, S." And he said, but it felt different. It didn't look different. Wide receivers, wide open. They were actually running the football. Offense was struggling, and it really seemed to be a big, big problem at that point. But that play turned things around, and then more plays followed, and it turned out to be a really good win. Games don't end 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes into the second quarter. That one was on the verge of it, but what a turnaround and what a game. 27-10, 3-2 now, a game back of Philly through 5 games. Long way to go, but man, that was a necessary win. I mentioned so many impressive performances, so many big plays in the game. It was a big bounce-back game for the defense. 5 sacks, 2 massive takeaways, including the Johnston fumble forced by Quan Martin, the tipped pass by Johnny Newton that got picked off by Sanders still at the goal line in the fourth quarter. A team that only had 1 takeaway through 4 games came up with 2 crucial takeaways yesterday, and they needed them, no doubt. The Chargers, let's be fair here. The Skins were hurting with Terry McLaurin out, with Noah Brown out, with others banged up, and it's been a rough injury start to 2025. But the Chargers were an absolute train wreck of a mess along their offensive line. But the defense had to take advantage of it, and it did, big time. The return of Jaden Daniels. The first 2 drives, a lot of rust. There was a call by Cliff Kingsbury on the second play of the game that I'll address in my game take that didn't make a lot of sense to me, but it was rusty to start, and then he completed that 3rd and 16 after the turnover, and he was himself again. The offense led by Jaden Daniels, and a pretty good day from the running back. We'll get to him. 5 scores on their final 6 drives of the game. Jaden was back. Krosky Merritt, wow, was Bill good. He's the one. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And yesterday's game kind of proved it, given the snap count, given the carry count. He's going to be the guy that gets the most opportunities, and I think he should. You know, he had 111 yards on 14 carries. That is 7.9 yards per carry. 2 touchdowns, another 2 catches for 39 yards. Yeah, he had the fumble, and it was a big one that ultimately did not cost them. But his vision, his cutting ability, his burst, his yards after contact. I mean, the way people bounce off of him, the way he drags would-be tacklers, he was outstanding. And then the number of defensive performances in this game, pass rush-wise in particular, and really specific to the pass rush. I mean, I don't know where to start with how many players it seemed in my notes. I wrote down pressure leads to sack, or just sack. But Dorrance Armstrong and Johnny Newton and Jordan McGee and Kinlaw, and I mentioned Armstrong. I should mention him 3 times. Payne had big plays. It was just one after another, and Washington gets a huge win in the game. Now, I thought this was one of those games in which there were so many moments, so many key plays that as you're watching the game, you know, this isn't a red zone watch. This is, you know, start to finish, you're on one game. So you really kind of get the feel of how the game is going. And usually over the course of 60 minutes in a game that, you know, is close, you'll have 4 or 5 plays and you're like, that one was huge, that one. In a game that ends 27-10, you don't expect that many, but there were so many of those moments where you are watching and you say, wow, that was a major turning point play. There were 7 of them that I counted, and you could probably add another 3 or 4. But here were the 7. All right. Number 1, it starts with an absolutely horrible offsides on a short field goal attempt by Mikey Sanderstill. That cost them 4 points. That's one of those, you know, early in the game, you're like, oh my God, that's going to come back and haunt them. It's going to come back and haunt them. By the way, on a super short field goal, and that attempt was what, 20-something yards? What was that, the length of that first field goal by the first touchdown when he kicked the field goal offsides? It was a 29-yard field goal. All right, 29-yard field goal. You can't jump off sides on that. All right, you're not going to block those kicks more often than not because they get up in the air much faster. They don't have to drive those kicks. So the balls get up much quicker. They're so much harder to block. That was costly. So that was number 1 of 7 key plays, key moments. Number 2 was the play we came in with, the monster forced fumble by Quan Martin that legitimately turns around a game that is headed towards 13-0, 17-0, 200 and something yards of offense to 25, 11 first downs to 0, time of possession, something like, 21 minutes to 6, or 22 minutes to 5. And by the way, leaving Washington with very little time to even answer, although we saw they didn't need a lot of time at the end of the first half, not with 5 back. That's for sure. That play was so big. Offense had punted twice. Defense had given up 179 yards. And it was getting ugly, and it was getting ugly early, and that play turned around the game. That was definitely one of those where you say, oh, man, make a note of that. That may have just turned the game around. I saw people saying that game saved the season. It didn't save the season in week 5, but I'll tell you what, it certainly gave them an opportunity to make sure that people weren't talking about the season being over. After yesterday's game. Key play, key moment number 3. Shortly after that fumble, they go backwards on offense, and here they are about to punt again on a 3rd straight offensive drive, and they are facing 3rd down and 16. And that fumble, that forced fumble by Quan Martin, would not have meant much, if they go 3 and out and give the ball back to the Chargers and the Chargers have good field position. But, wow, the first big play of Jaden's return, 3rd and 16, they're not checking it down. They're not running a screen or a draw. He's throwing to the sticks to the rookie Jalen Lane. It is a great throw. It's a really good contested catch. And there it is, a massive conversion. And from that moment on, Jaden and the offense completely different the rest of the way. Number 4, key moment number 4. End of the first half, 10-7, punting from their own end zone. I'll talk about, when I get to my game take, the different possibilities they had there at the end of the first half. Quinn was ultra aggressive, not once, but twice in that scenario. And he hadn't been, without Jaden, with Mariota. But down 10-7, punting from deep in your own end zone. That punt gets returned 57 yards for a touchdown by Ladd McConkey. Now, I'm sure most of you, like I, saw the roughing or running into, wasn't sure what it would be. Go back to the Maryland game on Saturday when their punter got absolutely mauled, and for some reason it was running into the kicker. You don't know these days if it's going to be a 15 or a 5. It seems like more often than not, when it looks like it's a 15, it's a 5. And when it looks like a 5, it's a 15. That one looked like a 15. It was a 15. It nullified the 17-7 lead on the punt return, and it gave Washington the ball from their own 17-yard line. But what would they do with it? That leads to key moment, key play number 5. First play after the roughing the punter. We're not going to run the clock out from our own 17, one timeout left. We get the ball to start the second half, but no, we're going for it. Jaden, 50-yard bomb to Luke McCaffrey. What a throw. What a catch. That leads to a game-tying field goal and all of the momentum heading into halftime. I mean, that game turned on a dime at the 8:50 mark, and it was about to turn again until that bomb to McCaffrey. Play number 6 of my top 7 moments in which you jotted it down and said, that's the play that we're going to look back on. First play of the fourth quarter. This is the one where the Chargers, potentially, if they had come back to win the game, would have pointed to this play to say, without that, we don't win the game. And that was Krosky Merritt's fumble on 1st and 10 in Charger territory after they had failed on a 4th and 2. And here goes the ball on the turf, recovered by the Chargers. And all of a sudden, a game that looks like we're on the verge of putting away is now back in play with 14-something left in the fourth quarter. And then at the end of that drive, finally, by the way, a drive. Did you guys see this? That drive for the Chargers after Bill's fumble, all right, which started on their own 43-yard line, all right, their own 43-yard line with 14:52 left in a game that was a 10-point game, 20-10. In just 53 yards, they ran 14 plays and ate 7 minutes and 12 seconds of the clock. By the way, yesterday's game is not going to help Washington's time of possession disparity. It was 34-19 Chargers to 25-41 Washington, 25 minutes, 41 seconds for Washington. They were 28th in the league coming in time of possession, something that they really owned last year, finishing 7th in the league. But man, when you go 14 plays in 7 minutes and 12 seconds, you usually think that that's like an 85-yard drive. 53 yards. And they had a 1st and goal at the 1. No Hampton on that drive for them. That was big for Washington. And the interception by Sanderstill after the Johnny Newton tipped pass. Herbert looking for Keenan Allen in the end zone on 3rd and goal. That was the 7th big moment. And the final big moment of the game. Rarely do you have that many plays in a game that ends 27-10 where you look back and say, mark that one down, jot that one down. That one is going to be one we talk about. And there were at least 7 of them. How about the drive, by the way, that followed the San Still pick? 13 plays, 99 yards, 6 minutes and 32 seconds. And on 4th and 7, instead of kicking the field goal, they go for it, and Jaden throws a touchdown pass to Debo in the corner of the end zone, officially in that moment ending the football game. I guess they technically needed the extra point to make it for sure a 3-possession game. But wow, that was a game that had a lot of those moments. It was a win that they really needed. The season is long, all right? You know, if they had lost yesterday, the season was not done. It would have felt like it was on the verge of slipping away. But what a difference, 3-2, coming from 10-0 down and on the verge of it being worse than 10-0 to dominate a team on the road. I know it was not much of a road environment. How great that feels through 5 versus what it would have been. 2-3, 2-game losing skid, doom and gloom all week. It's amazing. A week ago, talking about how bad the defense was against the Falcons, and then it steps up with probably its performance of the year, considering the circumstances. Again, against a team that was hurting up front and has been absolutely shredded to pieces up front for 3 straight games, but wasn't sure that we had it to take advantage of it, and we did. This team had the guys up front in particular to take advantage of that situation. It wasn't must win. You know, I never thought yesterday was must win. I thought it was a need to have, and I thought they would get it all week. I did. And no, for all of you tweeting me, I do not have a feel on the Bears game like I did on the Falcons game 2 weeks ago and on the Chargers game a week ago. I think this is going to be a really interesting football game a week from tonight at home against the Bears. Not a strong feeling yet either way. We will see as the week goes along. But look, this was one of those games that there are certain, junctures of the season when you have a successful season that you sometimes look back and say, you know what, that was one we were on the verge of it going sideways, and we were, we got plays, we made plays, we came back, we won the game, and we stopped the potential bleeding at that moment in the season. You really do when you are a successful team and you believe yourself to be a contending team. You've got to stop potential, runs. They had that 3-game losing skid last year. They had to bounce back after it, and they did. And I thought yesterday they kept the doom and gloom feeling of the season slipping away. They kept it at a distance. They did that yesterday. I'll get to my game take coming up here in a moment. I do want to just mention this about Jaden Daniels' return. I know that he's played 2 games, or he had played 2 games before yesterday, but man, yesterday, from that 3rd and 16 completion on in the second quarter after the fumble recovery, that really felt like the beginning of Jaden Daniels' second season. The first 2 count. I'm not trying to take away the first 2. They will count on his record statistically, win-loss wise, etc. But remember, yesterday was his first game in 23 days, in over 3 weeks. And the start of the season was the opener, which is always a weird game, and then 4 nights later. And I think that yesterday was huge. I don't think he ever had a doubt that he was going to play well. And it didn't start well at all. But what a turnaround. And he is, of course, the absolute key to another winning season, another season in which this team contends for something in the postseason. And I thought he looked good. I thought he looked healthy, especially after he ditched those shoes early on for a better pair. He looked good throwing it. He looked good running it. He moved well. And you can just see how everybody else benefits by his mere presence on the field. The way teams have to play him and account for him makes it so much easier for everybody else, even though they were missing so many key players. His health and availability isn't the only thing that matters, but it's the thing that matters the most. Good to have him back. Good win for this team. 3-2, everything on the table 5 weeks into the season. I'll get to the particulars of my game take next.
At least run out the half without giving it back. Here's Daniels. Lets one fly. Going deep. Luke McCaffrey. He's got it! Oh, what a catch! We've got another flag, though, so let's wait and see. Oh, my goodness. Luke McCaffrey.
What a wild end to that first half. What a throw. What a catch by Luke McCaffrey. 50 yards down to the Charger 33, put Washington in position with another throw from Jaden to Deebo Samuel for 22 yards to get a chip shot field goal at the end of the half, making it 10-10, and they got the ball to start the second half. That was a game flip from the 8:50 mark of the second quarter on. The Chargers on the verge of going up 13-0 or 17-0, in complete control of the game through a quarter and a half. That fumble, the hit by Quan Martin on Quentin Johnston, and the Chargers didn't score again, although they got really close to scoring in the fourth quarter. I want to tell you about Window Nation. October's here, so is the return of chilly air seeping into your home. That is if you've got an older window set, stuck windows, cracked windows, hard to open, hard to close. If that's the case, you need new windows, and my recommendation is to call Window Nation to eliminate not only the annoying drafts that will come with older windows, but the much higher heating bills. Window Nation has some of the most efficient and the best replacement windows out there. Their installation crews finish the job in a day or less, so you can get back to your daily routines with minimal interruption. Window Nation offers a lifetime warranty on all of their windows, so you can relax knowing your home is protected far into the future. This month, the offer is a real good one. Buy two, get the next two free, but with no limit. Plus, 1 day or less installation, that's included in the price. They'll give you the option also of paying nothing for 2 years. No down payment, no monthly payments, and no interest charged until the year 2027. Window Nation is a company that I've worked with now for 17 years. They've got an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. They've got a 96% customer satisfaction rating, over 45,000 five-star reviews. They've installed over 3 million windows across the country, and their windows come with a lifetime warranty. They were recently ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installation companies. You can trust Window Nation. I promise you, they'll get it done, and they'll get it done right. Get a free estimate. Start with that by calling them at 866-90Nation or going to windownation.com. Mention my name. They'll come out and take good care of you. All right, let's get to the game take. All right, what I liked, what I didn't like, and a lot more. You can start getting onto the phones in about 20 minutes is probably the best time to start. Right before 11 o'clock, we'll take your calls and get your reaction to this big win next hour. All right, number one on the list is the return of number 5. It was rusty early. I can't believe on the second play of the game, after a 7-yard quick game throw to Deebo Samuel, and it's 2nd and 3. Cliff calls a play. I could be wrong. He could have checked to it. It could have been an option. It didn't look like an option. He calls quarterback power. There's some action going on in the backfield, a lot of misdirection in everything Cliff does. And here comes number 5 in his first game back after 3 weeks on the second snap, running a designed run into a pile of bodies. -2 yards. What? I love Cliff. He is just so good. I mean, we are very lucky to have Dan Quinn as the head coach and Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator. I just don't get the fascination of the quarterback counters, the quarterback powers. You've got a quarterback that doesn't look anything like Cam Newton, nothing like Josh Allen physically, and he's coming off a knee injury, and he's been out for 23 days. And on the second snap, we're running quarterback power, quarterback counter, whatever it was. I'll go back and look at it again, and I may be wrong, and it may have been a check. Could have been a check on 2nd and 3. He got hit, tackled for -2, next play, incomplete, and they are punting. The early going also included a 3rd down scramble on their second series, and he slipped. And then he got rid of those shoes and put on other shoes. I guess the reporting from Aaron Andrews was that he put on the shoes he normally wears. I don't know why he was wearing other shoes. Did it have something to do with the knee? Did it have something to do with the brace? Did it have something to do with the turf? I'm not sure. But he slipped on that second series. And I actually think he had an option on that play, which I'll get to when I mention some of the plays that weren't good. But it was a slow start, and then it was Jayden pretty much the rest of the way. And it started on that 3rd and 16 after the fumble. They're about to punt it back, And the thing about this team during this, very brief, at this point, 25-game Jayden Daniels era where he's missed 2 games this year, they just overcome long down and distances. It's just not something that they're afraid to go after. 2nd and 20, 1st and 20, 3rd and 16. We're not checking it down. We're not running a draw. We got a quarterback that can hang in there, and if we can block it up for just a little bit, but even if we can't, he'll figure out a way to get out of trouble and throw it down the field or run it for 16 yards. What a throw, though, to Jalen Lane. That was really the play that just unlocked everything. And from that moment on, you go to that 3rd drive, which, that play starts the touchdown drive to make it 10-7. There's a 2nd and 4 scramble, and he looks really good sliding. A little bit later on, he didn't slide, and Brady scolded him. We'll get to that in a moment. The throw to Debo after he avoids pressure for 21 yards. And then getting the ball back at the end of the first half, the 50-yard throw to McCaffrey. He's certainly not afraid, that's for sure. He'll give his guys, even if they're not the best guys, the starting guys, he'll give them opportunities. What a really good catch by McCaffrey. Outstanding. For all of you Luke people, that was a moment. But that was a big-time throw as well. And then, they're in longer field goal range, and Matt Gay, even though he's been really good, in fact, 8 straight now, going back to the second half of the Raiders game, but they were in that 33-yard, 35-yard line area. So it's going to be a 50-yard plus field goal unless they get more yards. And there's a beautiful crossing route throw from Jayden to Debo. And then they got up and clocked it and kicked the field goal after that. Go to the second half, first drive. It's a 2nd and 10 scramble for 9 yards that gets them to a 3rd and 1. I think there were some really good throws in this game by Jayden, and a couple that were off. I'll get to those in a moment. But I think one of my favorite throws from him was a 1st and 10 9-yard throw to number 13, Tay Martin, on the opening drive of the second half. It was Jayden at his pocket passing best. He sees it. He knows what the defense is doing. He's decisive. It's a flick of the wrist, super quick release. The velocity, the accuracy, 9 yards at 2nd and 1. Those are the things we saw last year. We saw some of them in the Giant game, but he was off a little bit in the Giant game in the opener. And then the next play, it's a read option keeper. He gets the first down and gets down immediately. He played football for the most part. Wasn't his fault that they called quarterback power on the second play of the game. The throw to Chris Moore in the end zone. I mean, you got to catch that, Chris. That's a touchdown. That is an extension of the play, creating and then making a perfect throw to Chris Moore, who just could not pull it in for a touchdown. The 2nd and 16 scramble on the last drive, the epic last drive of the game. By the way, the first 99-yard drive for Washington, I saw Keim tweet out, saw it this morning, since 2001. I would have never guessed that. He's got a 2nd and 16 scramble, and he gets 12. That's the play where he got leg whipped coming out of the pocket, but decisive as a scrambler. Look quick. Brace didn't seem to have that much of an effect. Then he had that 2nd and 9 scramble where he didn't go down, and he's fighting for that extra yard to move the sticks. And those are the ones where you got to say, don't do that. It's 2nd and 9. You've already scrambled. Okay, even if you have to slide after 6 yards, it's 3rd and 3. And he got tackled, he got hit, and Brady lectured him about it after that. The touchdown to Debo is, obviously an incredible play. I mean, there were a lot of really good Jaden Daniels, looking like Jaden Daniels plays. The bad from him in the game, he was, like he was in the opener and against Green Bay, a little bit inaccurate on a few throws. I mean, not every throw, even from the best of all time, are right on the money or perfectly accurate. He was high to Ertz on a pass. Ertz could have pulled it in. He was a little behind Lane on one early. He underthrew Debo on the defensive pass interference. That could have been intentional, but I don't think it was. There was a really good grab by Debo in the second half on a ball that was just slightly behind him. He wasn't perfect. He probably missed a few things, including going back to the second drive of the game where he scrambles and he slips and falls about 3-4 yards short of the sticks. If you watch that play, I'm pretty sure he should have hit McNichols on a check down. And he could have hit McNichols as he started to run, because once he starts to run, the defense, all eyes are on him. It sucks everybody up. And he could have dumped it off to McNichols, and I think McNichols would still be running. So that was a chance and a decision that wasn't great. Yeah, for the most part, I mean, 15 of 26 for 231 yards, 8.9 yards per attempt, 15.4 yards per completion. He rushed for another 39 yards, and they were important yards on 8 carries, nearly 5 yards per carry. I got him as an A-, B+ in this game. And really, it's the start to the game and the rust on those first 2 drives and a couple of throws that were off. But he protected the football all day, as he always seems to do. The tempo, man. How about the up tempo and the hurry up? That really was a factor in the game. The Chargers, towards the end, seemed to run out of gas. Jaden's return, number 1 on the list of things that I liked from the game. Number 2 has to be the running back, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill. In the game, 28 snaps, 28, all right, out of the 59. I saw this morning. Offensive snaps, 59, 28 of the 59 snaps. So he played in less than half the snaps in the game. And he generated 150 yards of total offense and 2 touchdowns. 16 touches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'd call that high-level efficiency. Yes, he had 1 fumble as well. There were a couple of plays that I love. First of all, pretty much one of the first plays he has an opportunity on is a wildcat zone read with Debo. Then he's, into the end zone on a play where, look, the Chargers were horrible, obviously, on their offensive line. But, man, they did not set the edge very well in their run stopping on this guy who does such a great job with his vision, his bouncing ability. He doesn't have world-class speed. Somebody tweeted me this morning. I was telling Max, do you think he's got Chris Johnson speed? Are you out of your mind? Chris Johnson's one of the fastest players that's ever lived in this game. Look, Krosky-Merritt is fast. He's not world-class fast, but he has great burst. He's got great vision, great cutting ability. And that bounce outside and then him turning that corner, nobody had a shot. No, I don't think he's got Chris Johnson, world-class speed. That dude, what did he run, Max? 4.1? 4.2? Was he a 4.2 or a 4.1 guy? I don't even know what Bill ran 40 time wise. He's fast. Don't get me wrong. He's fast, but I'm actually more impressed with his vision, with his cutting ability, with his ability to bounce laterally and then burst and take advantage of it. He was outstanding in the game. There were other plays, really after that touchdown drive on their third drive, that was it until the second half. The speed option with Jaden on a 3rd and 1 took that pitch. There were 12 men on the field. Man, that tempo, that hurry up caught the Chargers there. Had that check down for 28 yards. I love that he can catch the ball. The check down was a great run after catch, but they used him in that middle screen as well, where he got 11 yards. And then there he is again, bouncing to the outside for a touchdown to make it 17-10. The 27-yard run on their second drive of the second half. I don't know how many tackles he broke. Let me just say this, and I'm going to get to them in a moment, but there was room to run for him today. There was room. The offensive line clearly did a good job. But on that 27-yard run on the second drive of the second half, he broke 2 or 3 tackles. He is slippery. No one gets a square shot on him. And then he does have enough lower body strength to run through some tackles. Then he had the 15-yard run on the final drive of the game. And he had the fumble. And that was a big fumble. And that was not on the exchange. Brady initially said it was on the exchange. I was looking for that. I didn't see it as an exchange problem. He had the ball, and then he lost it. That was a big fumble, and it could have been disastrous because they had the ball, near midfield up 20-10 in the fourth quarter after a 4th and 2 drop by Conklin. And it's like, let's go, end this thing right now. But overall, my God, 28 snaps, 16 touches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's an A-level game, and the only reason it's not A+ is the fumble. Deebo Samuel's on the list of good. He is having himself a season, isn't he? Look, no Terry, no Noah Brown. Jaden's go-tos. Zach Ertz is still in the game, but Ertz wasn't even targeted. Well, he was. He had that high ball that he could have caught, didn't pull in. No catches for Ertz in this game. Deebo was targeted 11 times, caught 8 passes for 96 yards. Nobody else was targeted more than twice. Do you think Kingsbury's been creative in getting Deebo Samuel the ball when Deebo Samuel is really the only legitimate scary threat as a skill position player? You've got to give Kingsbury a lot of credit. He gets him the ball quickly on screens. He gets it to him on under routes. He gets it to him on crossing routes. He gets it to him out of the backfield, although not yesterday. There was some motion occasionally in the backfield, I think, with Deebo, but he did not have a carry in the game, even though he was the zone read option with that Wildcats play that they ran with Krosky Merritt. But Deebo, he's on track now for 96 catches this year, something like that. Really another excellent game. What an addition Deebo has been. Without him, they'd be in big trouble. And let's just keep him and the quarterback healthy. I put Luke McCaffrey on the list of good. He only had 2 plays. A 50-yard catch, unbelievable catch, set up the game-tying field goal at the end of the first half. But he had another great kickoff return, a 40-yard kickoff return. He is excellent in that area. I put McNichols on the list of things that I liked in the game because that 3rd and 11 swing pass where he broke multiple tackles and got the first down, it seems like he is really good at that. And they just trust him. I like him too. The offensive line, anytime you rush for 163 yards and your quarterback only gets sacked once, and your average per carry is 5.8, and it really seemed to me that the line of scrimmage, a good defense too, and a good defensive front, it really seemed to me like they were doing a good job of winning at the line of scrimmage. There weren't a lot of in the backfield kind of plays. In fact, let me just see what the TFL count was for the Chargers, because it did not seem like, well, they had 6 TFLs. Okay. The fumble was certainly one of them. I thought the O-line did a phenomenal job. The way it appeared to me, there was certainly for Krosky Merritt a lot of running room. All right, sticking with the list of good, because now we move to the defense. The 2 takeaways are as big as anything in this game. They're as big as the running back's performance. They are as big as the quarterback's performance, as big as Debo's performance. 2 takeaways after 1 in 4 games. They get one, as we've talked about already, beaten it to death. The play of the game, really, the Quan Martin hit. As he said, violence solves everything. What a quote. And that was violent. And that ball came out, and good for Lattimore to be right there to recover it. And then the second one, they go from 1st and goal to 1. No Hampton in the game. I think that was big for Washington. He was over getting taped, was a bit injured. They had their 3rd string running back, Vidal, in the game. And after a first down throw is incomplete, there's a big play by Jordan McGee, who played and played well. It certainly appeared, had a couple of memorable plays, pressures, that TFL at the goal line, and then it's 3rd and goal, and Newton gets a hand on it, and it's tipped and intercepted by Sandra Still. Just 2 incredibly important takeaways in this game. They win the turnover battle +1, and it turned out to be a huge difference maker. Sticking with the defense, I mean, the pass rush was everything, because I don't think the coverage was great. Certainly wasn't early. 5 sacks, so many pressures. What did I see here in some column I read right before the show? It may have been Ben's column. 13 pressures in the game, 9 of them in 2.5 seconds or less. And it was everybody. It wasn't just one player. And part of it was schemed up. There were free runners against that offensive line. They took advantage of, truly, probably yesterday, other than Dallas's offensive line, one of the worst offensive line situations in the league. If they hadn't taken advantage of it, we would have killed them. You have to acknowledge how messed up they were, but this was a defense that was chomping at the bit to redeem themselves after last week, and they dominated. Pass rush in this game was everything to the defensive results. 5 sacks, 13 pressures, 9 in 2.5 seconds or less. It came from everywhere. It came from everybody. And it needed to. It needed to, because that game started with Justin Herbert going 11 for 13 for 112 yards and a touchdown, along with a couple of scrambles before the Johnston fumble. And people were wide the blank open. It looked like, oh my God, here we go again, coverage-wise. But they got a sack or 2 in the early going, and then they just dominated that offensive line. Dominated it. And the pass rush was everything in that game. After Herbert started 11 for 13 for 112 yards, he was 11 for 16 for 54 yards over the final 2.5 quarters. Dorrance Armstrong stood out. 2 sacks, drew a holding penalty. Boy, is he having a season. Kinlaw, McGee, Payne, Louvu, Wagner, Newton, Martin, Jacob Martin, Von Miller, Reeves, and Quan Martin with some big hits in the game. That list is long in terms of the defensive players who stood out. We'll have more on that, tomorrow when we go back and look at it in more detail. But it was the pass rush ultimately that was the defensive calling card. And when you get that kind of pressure, you're going to have a good day, even if the coverage behind it isn't consistently sound. The tackling was better than it was last week. There were a couple of missed tackles on Hampton. He's pretty good. And let's face it, the last thing on this list of things that I like from the game is that they took advantage of a team that was not only a mess along their offensive line. And look, I wouldn't have made excuses for our team. We were missing big pieces too. But their offensive line being such a mess, losing players during the game, it just seemed to completely discombobulate the Chargers. 10 penalties, 85 yards. Some of them just trying to protect and save Herbert's life. It was a bad day for them after that fumble. They were burning timeouts, with plenty of time left in quarters. They started the second half being down 17-10 with the ball. They went from a 1st and 10 to a 2nd and 33 to a 3rd and 29. Never had a shot. They went for a 4th and 2 and they dropped the pass. The Chargers participated in the final result of the game, but it was much more about what Washington did really after, the first 21 to 22 minutes of the game. All right, there were a few things that I didn't like. I'll get to those along with a few other observations when we come back. Kevin Sheehan Show, the Team 980 and the team980.com.
All right, happy Victory Monday, everybody. It is October 6th. A rough start for the Washington Commanders turned right around after Quan Martin laid a hit on Quentin Johnston to jar the ball loose. Commanders come back and score 27 unanswered points over the final three quarters. Washington wins 27-10, and Jaden Daniels becomes the first player in NFL history with 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards through his first 20 games. We look around the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys cruise to an easy win over the New York Jets despite an attempt at a comeback when it was already too late. Cowboys win 37-22. The New York Giants, they fall to the New Orleans Saints. Spencer Rattler completes 2/3 of his passes for 225 and a touchdown. Jackson Dart threw the ball 40 times as the Giants tried to climb back, but the Saints pull off the win 26-14. The Eagles, they went up against the Denver Broncos and were up 17-3 going into the fourth quarter. The Broncos battled back to score 18 points in the fourth quarter and pull off the game-winning field goal with 1:14 left in the game. Broncos win 21-17. Some postseason baseball. The Mariners, they beat the Tigers by a score of 3-2 to even the series at one game apiece. And the Blue Jays, they smoked the New York Yankees in a game that could have been on NFL Red Zone with all that scoring. Vlad Guerrero Jr. with a grand slam in the fourth inning at busted the game wide open. Blue Jays win 13-7. Tonight, we got Monday Night Football. The Chiefs taking on the Jags. That'll be right here on the Team 980 and on our sister station at 106.7 The Fan. That'll be tonight at 8 p.m. This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live every day from 10 to 1. You can catch Denton's office throughout all football season. Don't forget to hit the like button whenever you do decide to join us and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
Herbert looking that way, throwing, tip, intercepted at the goal line. Mikey Sainristil with the pick.
That was a rather large play. I mean, the fumble gave the Chargers life at midfield. They drove it 14 plays, 53 yards, 7 minutes and 12 seconds. That is a long drive. They converted so many third downs on that shorter field that just kept the clock rolling. But that was such a big play. The tip by Newton, the pick by Sainristil, and Washington had the ball back at their own one. You know, when they took the ball back, there was still 7 to 8 minutes left, 7 and change, and they needed to move it, burn some clock, up 20-10. They pretty much burned the rest of the clock. A 6-minute plus drive, 99 yards, and a final touchdown pass from Jaden to Deebo Samuel. All right. My game take continues. I've already given you the things that I liked. They are pretty simple. Jaden's return, he was outstanding after the first two drives. Krosky, Merritt, of course. Deebo, McCaffrey's two big plays, 50-yard catch, 40-yard kickoff return. Loved the McNichols 3rd and 11 catch and run. O-line was outstanding. 2 takeaways as important as anything in this game. The pass rush was really the key to the defensive turnaround on the day after the first quarter and a half. So many defensive players participated in that. Part of the good list is that, the Chargers showed up and really were banged up, as Washington was for sure. Washington took advantage of their bad day in a major way. All right, the list of things I did not like, more observations, and you guys can start lining it up on the phones right now at 301-230-0980.
Here, Commander's just going to go with 1:14 to go. It's Daniels, pressured, floating one for the corner. Debo Samuel, he's got it. That's the exclamation point.
That was the touchdown pass on 4th and 7 at the Charger 8-yard line at the end of the game. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that situation. I actually think that they did the right thing. I won't bury the lead there, but I'll give you my explanation as to why I thought they did the right thing coming up in a moment. So the game take continues. Phone lines are open, 301-230-0980. Getting to the things that I didn't like. I still thought that coverage was a problem, early and even late on that drive that got him down to the goal line. Just way too many people open. Thank God for the pass rush yesterday. They took advantage of that. They, look, Washington's pass rush is improved this year. Washington's run defense is improved. Now, last week against a team where the ball was coming out quickly, where they have a pretty good offensive line, the Falcons did, it was a non-factor really for the first time this year, although it wasn't much of a factor in the first half, especially against the Packers. But that pass rush was everything. But the coverage behind it still seemed early on to be, lacking. Too many guys wide open versus zone or man. Easy pitch and catches from Herbert to Keenan Allen, Herbert to Quentin Johnston, Herbert to Ladd McConkey, Herbert to Tyler Conklin. Amari and Hampton had catches. 86, the tight end, I think his name's Gadsden. He had a catch. Again, I mentioned this, but early on, Herbert was 11 of 13 for 112 yards before the Quentin Johnston catch and fumble. After it, he was 11 of 16 for 54 yards. He got sacked 4 times, but was pressured 13 times in the game, 9 times under 2.5 seconds, and it was everybody. But, even on that final drive when the ball was coming out quickly and on third down, how many third downs before the interception did they convert just in easy fashion? 3rd and 6, Herbert to Keenan Allen, easy for 11 yards. 3rd and 10, Herbert to Quentin Johnston, who made the catch at the sticks, moved the sticks. 3rd and 6, Keenan Allen wide open again, 8 yards, first down. I still didn't come out of that game feeling great about coverage, but as all of us know, longtime NFL fans, if your pass rush is disruptive and you're getting home and you are making him throw quickly and sometimes because of it inaccurately, that can solve a lot of your back end woes, and it did yesterday. There was some sloppiness, on the day, some plays getting in late, a delay a game, a timeout. They had to rush a play. Tay Martin had an unnecessary roughness on a kickoff return. There were some penalties on that last, epic 99-yard drive. There were 2 of them against Washington on one play. A couple of drops. Chris Moore had a drop for a touchdown. Ertz had an opportunity to pull one in. It was not an accurate ball. It was high. But yeah, it was not the cleanest of games, certainly not early, for sure. But, a lot of games you're going to have not every play flawless. Chris Moore's drop, I put on the list of things that were bad from the game. That was a big opportunity to get a touchdown on that throw. Really good throw by Jaden. But for the most part, the good way outweighed the bad yesterday. All right. So let me get to kind of the list of other things. So let me start with the opening kickoff. Did you guys follow that opening kickoff situation? So Matt Gay kicks it, first of all, into the end zone. You don't want to do that. And the Chargers are about to take possession, first drive of the game from their own 35-yard line. But there was an illegal formation penalty on our old friend Benjamin St-Juste on the kickoff return. And then it got very confusing because Burkhart and Brady kept saying, and the referee said the same thing. The referee announced it this way. That's what got them talking about it. Said that the Chargers chose to have the ball re-kicked. Well, you don't get to choose if the penalty is against you. It was Washington who chose to re-kick. from not the 35, but after the 5-yard penalty at the 40, giving them an opportunity to keep the ball in the landing zone so that the Chargers didn't get 1st and 10 at the 35. So if you were confused by that, the referee, and by the way, Brady and Burkhart's discussion of it, it's real simple. Washington got to choose. Do they want to kick again, or do they want to give the Chargers the ball at the 35-yard line? Of course, you're going to kick it again. And they did, and it ultimately was an 11-yard difference in starting field position. All right, let's get to the end of the first half, which was really an interesting, strategic setup, right? You're down 10-7 and the Chargers punt, and there's 1:35 left. Washington, I think, smartly used their timeouts on defense. By the way, there was a huge play defensively when Amari and Hampton on a 2nd and 7. The Chargers are at midfield. It's 10-7. They've got an opportunity to go get points, extend the lead, and there's a screen where Wagner is basically a free runner. Herbert throws it to Hampton, and Payne blows the whole thing up for -7. Washington uses, a timeout there because now they've got a shot to get the ball back. Smart by Quinn. And then, they check it down to Hampton, well short of the first down. They use their second timeout, and now they force the punt. Washington takes over from their own 7. So very effective punt. It was a 54-yard punt that was downed by the Chargers at the 7-yard line. So 10-7, you're getting the ball to start the second half, and the Chargers only have one timeout left. You only have one timeout left. If they had gone conservative in that spot, I probably would have been a bit disappointed because I would have been like, wait a minute, with Jaden, you've always been aggressive. And you've got a little bit of momentum now. You got that touchdown. You got to stop. You get the ball back. Let's go get points and then get the ball to start the second half. And so they approached it aggressively. But the ball's high to Ertz. He can't pull it in. And then on 2nd and 10, that's the key play there. With the Chargers holding one timeout and 1:30 left, and you're at your own 7, you may want to consider a run there to see, first of all, if Harbaugh will call the timeout. And if he doesn't, or if he does, then you can perhaps run it on 3rd down and make sure that when he gets the ball back, there's like 40 seconds left and he's got no timeouts. Or the run might get you into position where you've got a makeable 3rd down, and then you can go fast and try to get it. But what happened on that is they dropped Jaden back, and they dropped him back, and he got sacked at the 2-yard line. And now the Chargers did not call timeout after that. I was surprised. I thought they'd call their final timeout because now it's 3rd and 15 from their own 2. And Washington lines up and they let the clock run because now they're playing it, somewhat aggressively, but not really. Now they're just, I think, in that moment, hoping, let's not have a disastrous end to this half. Let's get to the break 10-7, start the second half with the football. But on 3rd down and 15, they drop Jaden back again, and he it's close in the end zone to a reach and a strip of the football, but he throws deep down the field, incomplete. The clock stops. They got a punt with 50 seconds to go from deep in their own end zone. So there was an opportunity to play it differently, especially on 2nd and 10. You run the ball there. Ultimately, the Chargers didn't seem to have a desire to use their final timeout after the sack, which was surprising. But they didn't. They kept going for it, even from their own 2-yard line on 3rd and 15. And now they're punting from their own end zone. McConkey returns it for a touchdown, but we saw it. We all saw the flag get dropped. And it was just a question of, is it running into the kicker or roughing the kicker? It was roughing. Now they take over from their own 17 with 34 seconds to go because the punt and the punt return took a lot of the clock. And they stayed aggressive. They didn't have to at that point, but from their own 17 with 34 seconds to go, I didn't mind that at all. And the next play was the 50-yard bomb to McCaffrey. What a strange turn of events. There were so many ways for both of those guys to play it. Ultimately, all's well that ends well. The 50-yarder, McCaffrey makes an unbelievable catch. And then you get another one to Debo for 22 yards on a crosser, and you've got a chip shot field goal to tie the game at the end of the first half. Now I want to go to the end of the game. You know, the 13-play, 99-yard drive. And with 1:08 to go, they have 4th and 7 at the Chargers' 8-yard line, up 20-10. I actually loved this decision. I think it was the right decision to go for it and to throw it, you know, because you're not running the clock on a stopped 4th down play if you end up getting stopped, you know, short of the goal line or short of the first down or an incomplete pass. Incomplete pass, of course, would stop the clock. But the reason I liked it is up 20-10 and the Chargers having no timeouts with 1:08 to go. If you don't get it, they're going to start from their own 8-yard line, unless there's like an interception in the end zone, and then they'll get it at the 20. But I think the chances of starting at your own 7 or 8-yard line and needing at that point a touchdown and a field goal, not 2 touchdowns, you're going to burn way too much clock, even getting into field goal range for the first field goal. And then you got to recover an onside kick. And then if it's a field goal first, you got to get a touchdown. I think the chances of them tying the game down 20-10, starting at their own 8 with no timeouts, was less than if Washington kicked the field goal to go up 23-10. Now you got a kickoff return, and we've seen how those have gone. Or maybe they start from their own 35 after a touchback, or maybe it's a bad kickoff and they start from their own 40. And now, you know, you've got a full minute and much better starting field position to potentially go and get a touchdown and then have a chance at an onside kick. I thought it was sound strategy. I thought it was right. You could argue both ways. I liked what they did and the fact that they threw a touchdown pass. And look, part of the calculus is, yeah, we got him at quarterback, and he can make a play here to either get us a first down or a touchdown, and he did, and that was ball game 27-10. What else do I have on this list? Loved the tempo in the game. Loved the fact that they really started to wear the Chargers out. You know, got them on the 12 men on the field on that speed option on that 3rd and 1. Preston Smith played. He was out on the field. Jordan McGee got his first significant, I think, regular season action on defense, and I thought he was an impactful player. What else did I have here? A couple of you guys sent me that they were, 2 for 7 on 3rd downs. I didn't think 3rd downs were a problem. Keep in mind, one of the 3rd downs was at the end of the game, when they were running the clock out before the 4th and 7. They weren't going to try to make the first down on 3rd down. They were trying to run the clock. So that's one 3rd down miss. And you had a couple of others that actually ended in field goal after a drop pass in the end zone. I didn't think that was a big factor in the game. And lastly, they're 5-point favorites next Monday night over the Bears. And as pleased and as rejuvenated as we all are this morning, it's week to week, people. This part of the NFL calendar is week to week. The first third to the first half of the season just never makes sense. So as pleased, as happy, as rejuvenated, resuscitated as we all are, a week from tomorrow morning, and it could be totally the opposite, as it was a week ago. This league makes no sense, especially first third to first half of the season. I do think the NFC appears to be pretty deep, with several teams capable of winning 2 to 3 playoff games in January. And I would put Washington into that conversation with, Detroit, Philly, I guess, Tampa, the Rams, the 49ers, Seattle, Green Bay. This conference is loaded with teams capable of making deep runs, but who knows what it's going to look like a month from now? Who knows what it's going to look like 2 months from now? And that's still a month before we get to the postseason. It just changes so much. But 5-point favorites over Chicago, with the Bears having, that extra long bye week. Played last Sunday, don't have to play again until Monday night. And we know what the storyline will be this week heading into, part 2 of Caleb versus Jaden. We'll see that Hail Mary from last year, and it'll be nice to see it over and over again leading into this game a week from tonight. The Bears have played better, but who knows what they'll look like a week from tonight. I'll tell you this, you're not going to dominate the line of scrimmage the way you did yesterday, I don't think. But at the same time, maybe we can confuse Caleb Williams a little bit defensively. 5-point favorites. That seems to be the right point spread. I didn't think it would be 3, and I certainly didn't think it would be 7. So somewhere right in between. All right, your time to weigh in. 301-230-0980. 301-230-0980. I've got one other thing, just a macro about yesterday's game that I haven't mentioned that I'll mention when we come back, and then I'll get to your calls.
Yeah, we certainly weren't pleased to be down. We were in this. It's ironic that we were in the same space, and so for us to be into that spot, I knew we'd fight back. But we did have a different vibe about us of coming on the road, to have the energy we wanted to make our plays. It didn't quite start like we want. We went down, they got a field goal, and then got into the score after the penalty, and then 3 and out. So it was like, then we kind of settled in. I felt like after that, but I thought the turnover was the big shift in the game.
Yeah, there is no doubt because his other quote, and I read it earlier, I looked up and saw 10-0, and I said expletive, beginning with the letter S, 4 letters in total. And he said, but it felt different. Watching the game, it didn't feel different because the first 22 minutes of that game, 21 to 22 minutes of the game, was a repeat of last week, minus the offense, because 2 drives, 2 punts. But people wide open, and, they're on the verge of making it 13-0 or 17-0. But the one thing that I wanted to say that I haven't said already before we get to the phone lines is the culture that they have built and the kind of players they have, procured. There is a level of effort pretty much every week, and intensity and urgency, and a level of physical play that they attempt that is consistent pretty much week to week, even when the results aren't there, in the win-loss column. I know many of you would say, you're out of your mind. They didn't show up against the Falcons. They didn't show up against the Packers. They didn't show up in the NFC Championship game. It's not my belief. I think Quinn and Peters and company, they have the right mix of players, and these players are tough. They set that tone on special teams as really the best kick coverage team in the league, and now one of the best return teams in the league. I was looking at this after the game last night. Their special teams ranking in the league per the DVOA metric, number 2 in the NFL in special teams DVOA. I believe in they're not going to ever it could happen at the end of a season that's over and their injuries are everywhere. That happens with every NFL team. But as long as they're in the mix, they're gonna play hard. And I know that sounds like, well, what are you talking about? They get paid to play hard. That should be a given. It's not a given. It's not a given. Look at the Jets. Look at some of these teams. They, I think, are doing a good job on that end. All right, phone lines are open, 301-230-0980. Let's start with Brendan in College Park. Brendan, go ahead.
Morning, Kevin. Happy Victory Monday to you guys. Yeah, I just want to emphasize kind of what you were talking about earlier about Jaden and Debo being our most important players. And I think Debo has just been so valuable. Before the season, I thought he'd be an all-pro. I think at least he'll be a Pro Bowler if he keeps this going. And it's just so valuable to have a guy who's consistent. Like, you can use him in so many ways. It's hard for the defense to really shut him down. I mean, even guys like A.J. Brown have thinkers, like a two-catch, 7-yard performance. Or we've seen Terry the same way. But Debo's just, he can get in the ball in so many ways. So that was point number 1 I wanted to make. And then point number 2 is, it's just funny how you always say can't judge a draft till you're 3 years in. And I mean, Luke McCaffrey has been a polarizing player for whatever reason to many fans, but it's just good to see him produce on special teams and produce with that bomb he caught. So, I mean, you got rookies like Buka who come on the scene. They're good immediately. You got rookies like Jackson Smith and Jigba. It takes them a few years to really become a star. I'm not saying Luke's going to be that good, but yeah, thanks for taking my call, Kevin.
No, it's such a good point, Brendan, and it really is. I mean, everybody wants to know right away. And this just happens to be sports where you don't know right away. And in sports where physical maturity, mental maturity matters, it takes time. I mean, just look at the quarterbacks. I mean, you had Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield basically putting together one of the great combined quarterback games of all time. Did you guys know that Tampa Seattle 38-35 game was record setting in that they both were over 80% completion percentages in the game where there was, I think, more than 600 of total passing yards in the game. Mayfield, 29 of 33, 379. Darnold, 28 of 34, 341. These two were teammates on the Carolina Panthers and considered to be done. Baker Mayfield got that opportunity on Thursday Night Football with Sean McVay a few years ago, and all of a sudden, his career takes off. Sam Darnold gets with Kyle Shanahan as a backup in San Francisco, and then with KOC, and his career takes off. Like, you just can't, you can't shut the door on young, talented individuals, because sometimes it's all about the fit. Sometimes it's all about the coaching, not the player. So, yeah, you need at least 3 years, maybe even more, depending on whether or not the player is on the right team or the wrong team. Let's go to Bobby in North Carolina. Bobby, what'd you make of the game yesterday?
Hey, Kevin, good morning. You're right. It wasn't a must-win, but it was a much-needed win. I was watching the Eagle game, and they were ahead most of the game. And I'm thinking we had a chance by sundown last night to be 3 games behind them. If we would have lost them, they would have continued to win. But it all worked out, we're only a game back. But a couple of things that I noticed we talked about last week, pressure. Kevin, that whole game changed in the second quarter when he started sending extra men. So I appreciate Witt, the adjustments that he made, and we were able to get home a lot. Not only the D-line, but we were sending linebackers. We were sending quarterbacks. They couldn't block us. So I think that was, to me, the difference in the game, because that created a couple turnovers. But 4 things that I loved about the game. You and I talked about Debo back in the summer. Debo's a player. I knew he was going to excel in this offense, and Cliff is very creative on how he's using him. And Kevin, he run the ball yesterday, out of the backfield. He still made a huge impact in the game. Love Bill. Bill's got something to him, Kevin.
No doubt.
Amazing story right now. What's going on with him? He's got something to him. But 2 things that I think is very sustainable the rest of this year, and I think why we'll still be competitive. We don't have any more injuries. Our offensive line and our defensive line has been excellent to me all year. Our offensive line's not getting a lot of credit, but these guys have been balling since day one this year. And
the change to Paul and Allegretti for the Raiders game was a big move, and I think it has definitely paid off. And we'll get Cosme back hopefully sooner rather than later as well.
Well, I think Cosme will be there at right guard on Monday night. But the one thing I hated, Kevin, that second offensive play that Cliff called, we were 2nd and 2. And I like to fell out of my chair. I mean, I could not – I still can't believe he called that play. That was a designed quarterback run, Kevin. What in the crap was he thinking about when he made that call?
The second play of the game, and I just wrote down WTF, Cliff. I need to go back. I need to go back and watch that play. I'm going to go watch it right now. But it was – you got a guy that hasn't played in 23 days, and you're running quarterback power on the second play from scrimmage. I don't get that. I'm going to look at this play again. It was empty, but they brought motion with Debo. And so Debo's going the one way, and then it's a designed run. Cliff is fearless, man. And by the way, like he said on Thursday, he's like, Jaden wouldn't be playing if he can't be Jaden, and he's going to be Jaden. And we saw Jaden after really that 3rd and 16 play sort of unlocked everything. But I was like, you come out and it's 7 yards to Debo, quick game, and you go empty and you bring Debo in motion, and then you run quarterback. Let me just see if it's a counter. I'm pulling it up here if it's just quarterback power. Because there's a bit of counteraction with Wiley, and he gets absolutely blown up on the play. Like, what are you doing? Why are we doing that on the second play of the game? I'm with you. But you know what? All's well that ends well. He ended up having a hell of a football game yesterday, for sure. What else, Bobby? All right, Bobby's gone. Anthony in D.C. Anthony, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
What's up, Anthony?
So, on the good side, Jaden, Devo, Bill, and there was somebody else I wanted to mention. But as an aside, I see Mike Thomas and Bill, except with a little more explosion.
Who do you see? Who?
Mike Thomas.
Are you talking about Mike Thomas from the 70s?
Yes.
Anthony, you're my guy. You know that, right? He was there are only a couple of us, all right? Mike Thomas was the NFC Rookie of the Year offensively in 1975. He was a fifth-round pick out of UNLV, basically the only draft choice of the George Allen era that ever paid off, and he was a great vision runner, to your point. Yeah, I see some comparisons there. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't just me.
No, good call, good pull.
On the not so good, the going in the halftime sequence. I understand being aggressive, but you have to be judicious also.
Yeah, that was. Look, with 5 on the field, he's going for it. I mean, almost every time. I just thought because it'd be one thing if the Chargers had 3 timeouts and they were going to use them to try to get the ball back, but there was a chance they weren't going to use their last timeout, and I would have tested them on that with a run on second down. From your own 7-yard line? Yeah.
Or a run on first down. At least one run.
Yeah, at least one.
At least one run.
Yeah, no, you can definitely argue that would have been better strategy, but this dude with 5 at quarterback, he just believes. It's just like 3rd and 16. They don't check down. They don't run draws. They throw it to the sticks or beyond. It's the way they do it with him. And by the way, it's paid off a lot more than it hasn't.
And another one, only 20 running plays minus Jaden. I think Cliff needs to run the ball more.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. After the second drive, they moved the football, and right. They scored points. They scored on 5 of 6 drives, and the only one they didn't was Krosky Merritt's handoff in the backfield where he fumbled. I don't
on that play.
I'm sorry.
I said he got blown up on.
Yeah, was that Tart's really good for them? Yeah. He is 90 for them. The dude that used to be in Tennessee next to Simmons, he's a baller for sure. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate that. Let's go to Ralphie in Rockville. Ralphie, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin. Yesterday was Jaden played phenomenal. When it comes to Jaden, I think the stat sheet isn't always a great indicator as to how he played. Our fans and people around the league nitpick every single throw he makes. He has to be 30 for 30 every game, apparently. And when it comes to Justin Herbert, right, this is a big topic that I really want to talk about. He always gets a ton of excuses. I mean, he's fast. He's really fast, but always acts like he can't run or create off schedule like the other elite quarterbacks. He has an elite arm, but I still see the same flaws that he had at Oregon. And to me, he doesn't show up in the big games. And Jaden beat him in college the same way. And one play in particular that nobody has pointed out, when Bill ran, I think it was the third quarter. Jaden, he came all the way back from where he snapped the ball and he went out and chased him for Bill.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying with Herbert. You don't see that winning pedigree with Herbert. He has a great arm. And even you, Kevin, you switched up your stance on Herbert. You weren't a big fan of him. That's why I'm not a big fan of him.
I was wrong. Like, Herbert's good. He's a really good quarterback. He's a top 10 talent in the league. You're right. He has not delivered in the big spots. I mean, you go back to last year's playoff loss, but you started with he doesn't run. He does run, and he is a really, really good runner, underrated as a runner.
Kevin, there was times where he could have stepped up in the pocket. The defense, you got to remember, there was times we were missing the sacks. He could have stepped up in the pocket, and that's the difference. Jaden made those plays. It's the same thing he
Yeah,
does
but
in
the pressure on him, I already gave you the numbers per, I think, True. 13 pressures, 9 in under 2.5 seconds. He had no shot on a lot of those. No shot. Just like against the Giants last week. They not only went into the game injured, they lost Becton during the game. They lost the right tackle, the guy 79, Pipkins. They were coming and going. It was a complete and utter mess for them up front. And the fact that he actually got the results he got in that game, I think are a credit to him. I was not a big fan of him coming out of Oregon, but I think he's a really good quarterback. I think you're being too hard on him.
I just think, as Stephon Diggs said yesterday night, it wasn't about what the other team did. It was about what we did. And I give credit to the defense for creating turnovers.
No doubt.
And that's
I'm with you.
And that's going to be the key going forward. We can't cover, but we've got to create turnovers. And another thing, too, Kevin, I want you to talk about. This is a big thing we got to talk about during the week. Do you think that the coaching staff doesn't have a lot of confidence in younger guys? Because even if Bill fumbled, it was like when he fumbled, Dan Quinn was just like shocked. Like, he wasn't like he was shocked, but it was like you saw the worry in their face. And it's just like, we got to trust the young guys. It can't just be the veterans. There's so many young guys who contributed yesterday. Johnny Newton, Luke McCaffrey, Bill, Jordan McGee. We gotta play these young guys. Joe Witt doesn't have any excuse going forward saying, Bobby Wagner's making all the calls. You got to play Jordan McGee. There's no more excuses. The young guys got to play. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. And keep in mind, that drive after the fumble, they came right back to him. Right back to him. I don't know if it was that first play. I'm looking it up right now. On the long drive from their own 1 yard line. Oh, no, the first one, I mean, again, I got to go back and see if that was, I don't think it was an RPO. The throw to Bates with Jaden moving right. And then they came right back to Krosky Merritt. He had a big chunk run. Good for him. Let's go to our guy, Bernie, in Potomac Falls. Bernie, go ahead.
Kevin, Mike Thomas, number 22, UNLV, loved him. I mean, you go back to him. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Eddie Brown, too. But anyway, so a couple things. I know I listened to your recap. One of the things, the throw to McCaffrey, go back and look at it. Jane throws that flat-footed. He does not step into it. There's a defender right in his face.
Which throw are you talking about?
The one to McCaffrey before the half. He does not step into it. It literally looked like Aaron Rodgers. He just flicked.
It's a flick of the wrist sometimes, no doubt.
It is, but it's 50 yards with loft.
Yeah.
That accurate. You can't teach that. You can't even make that. I mean, that blew my mind. The other thing I thought was incredible is when James had Bill tackled for like a 4-yard gain on the one that he ripped off on the right sideline, he busted outside. McCaffrey doesn't clip the wide receiver. That was great coaching. I mean, the corner. And Bill almost broke that. If you look, he got so low to the ground. He reminded me of like Emmitt Smith or Thurman Thomas, the way he settled his hips to turn upfield. If that guy can get his legs, I
know what you're talking about.
And that we haven't had that. I mean, we've had bruisers, we've had 6-7 yard runners, but the guy who, once he gets a foot into the secondary, can take it. That is, I mean, and plus you only need to give him 15 carries. Everybody's saying feed him. 15 carries, 3 catches. I don't want him to get hurt. Last thing I'll leave you with, Kevin, is you said, look, teach Bill how, coach him up about pass pro, about all of that. They did that. I think it's effective. Do that with McGee, because McGee was in there on some key plays. He's the one who filled the hole.
He made some plays.
And if he doesn't, so what? He's gonna be the starter next year. So get him in there, do what you did, and youth. They looked fast yesterday. I'm sure it was the turf, but they looked faster yesterday. Thanks, Kevin. I know you got a lot of calls.
Yeah, Bernie, good point too. With McGee on the field, they definitely looked faster. And they need more speed on defense. You sent this to me, Max. Jordan McGee was in there yesterday for 12 snaps. That's the most. He's 24 snaps total in the first 4 games. I'm assuming those 24 snaps, a lot of them were at the end of the Raider game, the blowout, and he was in there for garbage time, but I don't know for sure. And in 2024, 15 total defensive snaps. It was nice to see him out there. He had a big TFL down at the goal line on that first and second and goal at the 1. That was a 3-yard loss. I'm pretty sure that was McGee, right? Didn't McGee stuff the kid Vidal for a 3-yard loss on that play before the interception? Yeah, it was Jordan McGee. 3-yard loss, 3rd and goal at the 4 instead of 3rd and goal, at the 1 or a little bit better than that. All right, everybody on hold, stay there. I promise I'll get to your calls. 301-230-0980. Kevin Sheehan Show, the Team 980 and the team980.com.
All right, happy Victory Monday, everybody. It was a rough start for the Washington Commanders, but they turned it right around after Quan Martin laid a big hit on Quentin Johnston to jar the ball loose. Commanders come back and score 27 unanswered points over the final 3 quarters. Washington wins 27-10. And Jaden Daniels becomes the first player in NFL history with 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards through his first 20 games. We look around the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys cruise to an easy win over the New York Jets despite an attempt at a comeback after it was already too late. Cowboys win 37-22. The New York Giants, they fall to the New Orleans Saints. Spencer Rattler completes 2/3 of his passes for 225 and a touchdown. Jackson Dart threw the ball 40 times and 2 interceptions as the Giants tried to climb back, but the Saints able to pull out the win 26-14. The Eagles, they went up against the Denver Broncos. We're up 17-3 going in the fourth quarter, but the Broncos, they battled back and scored 18 in the fourth quarter to pull off a game-winning field goal with 1:14 left in the game. Eagles try a Hail Mary, and the Broncos win 21-18. Postseason baseball, the Mariners, they beat the Tigers by a score of 3-2 to tie the series at 1 game apiece. The Blue Jays, they smoked the New York Yankees in a game that could have been on NFL Red Zone with all that scoring. Vlad Guerrero Jr. hits a grand slam in the 4th inning that busts the game wide open. Blue Jays win 13-7. Tonight, got Monday Night Football on tap. The Kansas City Chiefs going to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Kickoff will be at 8 p.m. Pregame starts right here at 7 p.m. on the Team 980 and on our sister station, 106.7 The Fan. This update is sponsored by Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live every day from 10 to 1. You can catch Den's office throughout all football season. Don't forget to hit the like button whenever you do decide to join us and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
handoff here. Krusky Merritt has a wall. He is in. Touchdown, Commanders. 15-yarder for Bill.
Yeah, really good run by Krusky Merritt to make it 10-7. That drive started, and I've been watching this play on the All-22 with that 3rd and 16, man. That 3rd and 16 throw to Jalen Lane was so big. I mean, they're back at inside their own 20-yard line. He's got a great pocket to throw the football. That is excellent pass pro against the Chargers, and Lane runs it to the sticks. How many times do you see a young receiver run it short of the sticks on 3rd and 16? And that ball was out before Lane even got into his break. It's such a great throw, great catch, and that kept that drive going. That was massive. If not, you're punting the ball back after the big turnover. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Joe in Springfield. Go ahead, man.
Hey, Kevin, what's going on?
What's up, Joe?
All right, so I will say that, first off, can we please have all those insiders over the summer who thought Deebo Samuel was overweight, put that to rest, because he has been fantastic these last couple of weeks to start the season. Whether it's been Jaden or Mariota throwing the football, I mean, when he needs to make a play, he'll make it and do it. It's fantastic. On the defensive side, you mentioned Deron Payne made some big salvage, but Javon Kinlaw, I mean, him and Payne
Kinlaw
together
was a presence
have
again.
been fantastic. Yeah, what a great addition he's been. So what I didn't like is 3rd down defense. I understand that, we were in the lead a couple of times, but we can't keep allowing those big chunk of yardage, even with the ball. If you want to get the team off the field, you can't keep them on the field. The side note, look, we made a statement yesterday, big win in LA against the Chargers. Kevin, 3 of the next 4 are in prime time. You want to do this, get it done, because it's going to get tougher. I mean, Chicago, Dallas, Kansas City, Seattle, Detroit. I mean, Jaden's back. Let's get it done. That does get it easier, man. So take care.
Yeah, thanks. Washington was the number 1 3rd down defense going into the Atlanta game, and after 2 games have given up a lot on 3rd down. They've fallen back to 17th in the league, it looks like, on 3rd down. So that's why early numbers through 3-4 games, just so misleading. You got to wait for a much bigger sample size. Let's go to Keith in Brandywine. Keith, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Hey, Kev. Listen, man, I'm still not impressed with Joe Witt, man. I think I don't like his play calling and the defensive, whoever the defensive secondary coach is. I feel like we need they got to go. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to look at the score. I don't look at the 10 because 2 plays, if I'm not mistaken, we had them like in second, and this is in a row. Second and like 33 or something. And both times they even got the first down.
No, they didn't get the first down on 2nd and 33. They went from 2nd and 33 to 3rd and 29 to 4th and 20-something and punted. They didn't get a first down on that.
No, you remember? No. Remember when they had the penalty and they called it back? He got one of them. He got the first down. The first time he got the first down. The second one he came up 5 yards short.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah.
But the first drive of the second half, they just went backwards and punted. If that's the one you're referring to, there wasn't another 2nd and 33 in the game
where they had the 2 penalties in a row that backed them up.
Yeah, they had penalties that backed them up. Exactly. There was a holding. There was an illegal formation. Right. But what are you saying? They didn't get a first down on that.
No. But they still came. But they still came close to getting it with the next down. They probably would have got it.
No. Here it is. 1st and 10, 2nd and 19, 2nd and 28, 2nd and 33, 3rd and 29, 4th and 23.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get anywhere near getting a first down.
Okay. They when they threw the pass, I'm gonna go back and look at it again.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about another drive. I don't know which one you're thinking of, but it wasn't that one.
Okay. The zone. We're not good in the zone, and I got a problem with how
we're not very good in man either.
How to play. No. And then Bobby Wagner. I love Bobby, but I'm sorry, he can't cover anybody now, man. And it's zone he's not covering. Man to man, they're putting the back on him, swinging him out the backfield he can't cover. And I'm like, be creative. Put a defensive back in there and take Bobby out on most downs. Take him out. I'm sorry, just take him out. And
well, Jordan McGee played more. Bobby Wagner, was out there with McGee. They were both out there at the same time. So I got to go look at the snap count to see if they took Wagner even off the field. They usually don't. Wagner played every snap. He played every snap, even though McGee was in there for 12 snaps, the most he's had in a game since being drafted on defense. He's been on special teams before. Thanks, Keith.
He's slow. He's lost a step or something.
Yeah, we've talked about that. But hell, the pass rush, he's good at rushing the passer. That's for sure. Let's go to Larry and Laurel. Larry's been on hold for a while. Larry, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing today, sir?
Good, Larry.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
Two things I wanted to say. Number one, I really just wanted to hear more of your take on Jordan McGee. I thought Jordan McGee was out. I mean, he was just sensational yesterday, and I think he needs some more snaps. If you go back to the Raiders game, what they told him to do was as soon as they hiked the ball, if they had a passing play, Jordan McGee ran immediately to the running back and just checked the running back. In this game, they got him on the blitz, and I really hope that when we go forward, that we're not going to be so we're not going to just give it away. If we have to put Jordan McGee on the field, blitz a cornerback so that we don't look predictable. And the second thing I wanted to hear you talk about, sir, was the offensive line. The offensive line has been doing an outstanding job. And if you could get us some more information about Brandon Coleman and why he's not even suited up, I'd love to hear that too. Thank you, Kevin. You made my day. Have a good one,
the Jordan McGee presence on the field was definitely noticeable. He was a free rusher on, I think, the sack and really created the pressure that I think Newton had. And then he was really good. And by the way, on the field, like they were scrambling because I looked at this play and I'm pulling it up right now. He was basically, they came out onto the field on that 2nd and goal. And McGee was phenomenal in getting a big part of it. Kinlaw was huge on that play as well to get a TFL for -3, which set up the 3rd and goal from the 4, which was the play they got the pick on. But yeah, look, the offensive line allowed 1 sack and they rushed for 160 whatever yards. That's a good day from the offensive line. Let's go to Paulie. Paulie, go ahead.
Big guy, L to the W, man. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, listen, man. My man Jaden took them pink cleats off, put the black Mambas on, and went to work. Hey, look.
Yeah, somebody texted me and said that they were, because October's breast awareness, cancer awareness month, that's why he had the pink shoes on to begin with, but they were not working for him, and he switched those quickly, and it made a difference.
Hey, listen, man, he wear Kobe cleats, man. Like I say, he put the black Mambas on and went to work, man. But look, our season started at 3rd and 16.
Yep.
That's when that season started, at 3rd and 16, man. And then, like I've been saying, like Quan said, we chose violence and actually committed to the running game. Everybody loves Bill. You know what I mean? They threw the ball to Bill, they handed the ball to Bill, and Bill went to work. And we chose violence, like Quan Martin said, man. So, and that, to me, that's the formula. Start in the paint with Shaq, and then let Kobe go to work.
So is the paint Bill in the running game?
Yes, sir.
We're going down on the block.
Shaq, go on the block with Shaq, and then let Kobe go to work.
Right.
And that's what we did, man. That's exactly what we did. Hey, Phil Jackson got a little cute in the second half on that second drive after the 27-yard run. He went 6 straight passes,
He likes the triangle. Cliff likes the triangle.
But sometimes, man, you got to say F the triangle and get a ball to Shaq. And that's what we did, man. And then Kobe went to work, man.
Well, let me just tell you, Shaq did fumble once. Shaq missed a dunk.
No, but you got to put that on Derek Fisher, Wiley, man. Because he missed that block.
Fisher.
He missed that block.
Right.
He missed that block, and the tackle blew it up. He arrived at the same time.
Yeah, still got to hold on to the football.
So, but hey, sometimes you get turnovers, man. You know what I mean? But you just got to know how to get back on offense, get back on defense, and that's what we did. Speaking of defense, man, hey, man, Dorrance Armstrong, man, that's James Brown, bro, the hardest working man in show business, man. You know what I mean? Salute to that dude, man. Hey, I give Joe Wick credit. Second half, he dialed up the blitz, on that first series with McGee. You know what I mean? And then for the most of the second half, we was blitzing. So that's what I be saying, man. That's choosing violence. I don't care if the team does have a bad offensive line. You can't just always rush 4. Man, you got to give the illusion that you're bringing more than 4 at times.
Well, they created the illusion a lot and then dropped, which was nice. By the way, would you comp Luke McCaffrey to Big Shot Bob? Maybe McCaffrey's Ori?
No, Big Shot Bob is Debo, baby.
Yeah, but Big
Debo,
Shot Bob
man.
doesn't participate the whole time. He just participates every once in a while.
Hey,
all right, I got to run.
Luke
What?
Luke McCaffrey is Paul Gasol, man. You got to feed him his milk and cookies.
I'll talk to you later. If you're on hold, stay there. Ben may join us a little bit later. He took the red eye to get back. So G, Ross, Bobby, Bones, Jameer, stay there. We'll either get Ben next and then get to you guys, or get to you next and then to Ben. But it's the Kevin Sheehan Show on the Team 980, the team980.com. I do want to tell you that this last segment was brought to you by IHOP, introducing the IHOP value menu, where all your breakfast favorites are just $6 every day. Where else can you get a big, filling, sit-down breakfast for only $6? Go to your happy plates with the $6 IHOP value menu, available every day at IHOP, $7 in some locations.
Hey, at the start of the week, we said one thing, man. That was our one goal we had to get. The dog ass competing together, man. An absolute fun and joy of that. We lived that like for the second half. That's it, man. That's Commander ball, competing, battling, finding ways, man. It was cool, man. So we got some tough in here, all right? That's how we get down every time. That's how we get down every time. So speed and violence still works, all right? Still works. works. And proudest of you guys, man.
Dan Quinn after the game, big win, really was 27-10, and the way it turned around there with the forced fumble by Quan Martin and then that 3rd and 16 shortly thereafter. Wow. From that point on, it was all Washington. They're 3-2. The Bears a week from tonight at home in the rematch of the Hail Mary game. The Bears coming off a bye week. Washington is a 5-point favorite. And then this stretch after that, the Cowboys, who are as good as any team in the league offensively, the Chiefs, both of those games on the road, then Seattle here on a Sunday night, Detroit here at 4:25. Make no mistake, the Eagles come late in the season with 2 games against Philly in the last 3, but the stretch really, and I'd even throw in the game on Monday night, Bears, Cowboys, Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions, before they go to Madrid. The next 5 are going to tell a lot about where this team is positioned and what they can accomplish or can't heading into late November and December. Good to get that one. 2-3 with a 2-game losing skid would not have felt great. Ben took the red eye back. We'll try to get Ben on before the end of the show. Let's go to Jameer in D.C. Jameer, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
What's up, Kevin? Happy Monday, brother.
You too, Jameer.
So there's a few things I wanted to point out. Back when you was bringing up effort, I did want to point out that run that Bill did when he went off to the right when James kind of like yanked his shoulder. That's the one that Jaden ran up the sideline for the ball.
Yeah.
If you look at McCaffrey, he starts off on the outside of the numbers, and when Bill cut right in the hole, he drove his corner all the way within the numbers and also blocked the chasing safety number 2 when you see him flying in the air. And that's what really gave Bill that open lane up that sideline. I don't know if you noticed it, but if you
I'd have to go back and look at it. I did not notice it in the moment. I noticed Jaden chasing him down, which, to be honest with you, I just want him to be careful when he's chasing people down. But yeah, I'd have to go back and look at it. But yeah, it's there was effort, even down 10-0. The coverage was the biggest issue. They just seemed to at times, struggle a bit in coverage. Not at times. It's been a season-long issue, but I'll definitely go back and look at that. What else you got?
And on the next thing I wanted to bring up is the 2. Well, I know it wasn't 2 back-to-back delay games, but it sure enough could have been.
Yeah, Jaden was hot. He wanted that play in much sooner.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out, because I don't remember last year of this being such a, I don't know if I can classify it as an issue yet.
It was an issue at times last year.
Okay, because it just seemed like we running into using our timeout so early on getting these balls hiked. I know some of it is due to the refs holding up, to allow the defense to get their substitution in.
Right.
But it seemed like are we growing into resolving that? Because it just seems like every week we find ourselves within 5 seconds of trying to hike the ball, and we use motion a lot. So
no, you're right.
Trying to get the motion going.
They don't huddle. They get to the line of scrimmage, and then Cliff decides the personnel. And when you change personnel, and that clock's already been running, you have to give the defense ample time to substitute. And that's where some of those plays that you just described end up being plays that you're down to the last couple of seconds. We had to delay a game. We had to call a timeout. And yeah, they've got to get that worked out. But I'm pretty sure at times last year we talked about this being an issue. I really feel like we did last year talk about this at times being an issue. So yeah, they got to get it worked out. Thanks for the call, Jameer. Appreciate it. Let's go to G from the shop. G, what's up? G. Where's G at? Put him back on hold.
I think G went off for a smoke break.
Ross in Tampa. Go ahead.
You ain't got G, but you got me, Kevin. What's good in the hood today?
What's good, Ross?
I should probably quit asking you that on the Victory Monday. I know what's good. Yeah, somebody had called and said something about Brandon Coleman. That's what I was asking you last week because you were talking about, the whole competition thing. And I was all right, cool, competition. We're going to put Chris Paul out there. But he said the same thing last year about Phil Matheson. The next thing you know, he was cut. So I'm hoping he's not because I didn't know he was a healthy scratch. I'm like, oh, that's damning because.
Oh yeah, no, he was inactive starting with the Raiders game. He's been healthy it's Paul. They like Chris Paul at that spot. They like Paul more than Coleman right now. If they got into a bind at guard, obviously, if they got into a bind at tackle, Coleman can play for them, but clearly they believe Chris Paul gives them a lot more right now than Coleman does at guard.
And I hear that, but it's just like this guy was protecting our future star quarterback's blind side last year. So going from that as a starter to a healthy scratch and not even a backup or a third string, that's kind of troublesome to me. But Kevin, can we just talk about what?
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is, that's where, we talk about all the time. You got to wait on draft picks. You can't come to a definitive conclusion about a draft pick, 6 games into his career, even 2 years into his career. It takes a minimum of 3 before you know for sure. By the way, that goes for when you anoint a draft pick like people did with Brandon Coleman. No, it takes time. Right. He was playing last year out of necessity as much as anything else. So, it just takes time to figure it out with these guys, and in certain spots, certain positions, it takes years. Look at the quarterbacks in this league.
And his teammate on the other team, wide receiver Johnston, because I don't know where he came from. I thought he was going to be cut when Harbaugh took over, so that's a good point too. But I was just watching the game yesterday. First of all, shout out to my boy Bill. I'm arguing with my wife and my brother the whole day because when the game was out of hand, we're arguing about Bieniemy being a good coach, and I'm over here telling them why, repeating everything that you taught me about him, and he's over here talking whatever. I'm looking at that stadium, man. I can't tell you how excited I am to see it in 2030 when it's all loaded with burgundy and gold, man. SoFi is one of the most beautiful stadiums I've ever seen, and I'm happy to see that our people went out there and showed up and turned out. And we got Chicago next Monday, right?
Yep.
Is he going to be braced up, or is he comfortable with it? Because
I don't know. It certainly didn't seem to bother him yesterday.
No,
he didn't play. He didn't play cautiously at all, and Cliff didn't call a cautious game. I thought he did a good job 90% of the time of protecting himself, though. I thought he, did a really nice job with that. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it. Speaking of SoFi, I think Bobby in L.A. was there. Bobby, what's up?
Hey, Kevin, long time, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm well, Bobby. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. First and foremost, before I talk about the game, I just want to congratulate you on the evolution of your show, man. I think it's going on 10 years now. Every season I call in, back from the Sports Fix days, and then Kevin and Cooley, and now here we are.
I wish it were only 10 years. It's been a lot longer than that. But thank you, Bobby. Were you there yesterday?
For me, I was, man. I was. It was great. It was remarkable to see how many fans the Commanders have out here in Los Angeles.
Isn't that the case with all the Charger games at SoFi, right? The visiting teams
tend to take over. I don't really follow the Chargers. I only follow the Commanders, but I can assume so from what I saw. But a couple of points I wanted to make. First and foremost, did you guys see on TV how he changed his cleats?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they showed that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, he was really unhappy with the cleats, and then when he changed them, it seems like he went into Superman mode. It was amazing.
Yeah, he slipped on that second, third down, and he said, "That's enough of those." Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, have you noticed how much safer he's playing? He's not, throwing his body out there at risk. He's really cautious and careful, sliding, trying not to get hit. I don't think it's so much because of the knee. I think it's just overall his IQ's going up. He's learning that, he doesn't have to do it all himself. He can
there were a couple
everything.
of them. There were a couple of them where he wasn't safe. He was trying to get a first down on a 2nd and 8 and took a big hit. They called a designed run on the second play, and he took a massive hit on the second snap of the game. But yeah, I thought for the most part, really good decision making and making sure he wasn't putting himself at risk on plays where you don't have to put yourself at risk. I agree with that.
Yeah, one last point. Do you think this was kind of set up where the NFL put Washington in an away game a week before a primetime game against Chicago, and just coincidentally Chicago having that bye week coming in? You think that's a little fishy?
No, we talked about this. I mean, Washington had, before the Raider game, the long mini bye off the Thursday night, and the Raiders had played on Monday Night Football coming in here. That was a complete setup for, a big win. But yeah, the schedule makers don't do that. Don't do any of that on purpose. It's hard to schedule 272 games or whatever, and there are going to be some net rest advantages and disadvantages during the course of the year. But no, I don't think that had anything to do with it. Bobby, great to hear your voice. Hope you're well. Let's go to Mark in Largo.
Hearing from you, man.
Yep. Mark in Largo, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Kevin, man? It's
what's
great
up, Mark?
to talk to you, man. And I got to tell you, at times you do teach me something too, even though it seems like I feel like I'm teaching you something, but you are. I got my crayons out right now. I'm taking notes, man. Get started. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Can I say this, Kevin? I think you're the only person I wanted to say this to, because I think you'll agree with me. Don't you think it'd be better if they just blitz all the time? Because every time they fall back in zone, you and I can get open, man. You and I can get open. And I'm 55 and you're 62. So if you and I can get open,
no, you're a little bit high on that one. But let me just say, I do think that without pass rush, I think I could probably shake open against zone coverage. Yeah. I think I could. Yeah.
And what I don't understand is, look, I love the defense, and I think the defense, Joe Wood deserves a game ball. No one's denying that. But, bruh, stay pressure. Stay pressure. I mean,
well, they got after him. They got after him yesterday. They pressured him. They pressured him 13 times, sacked him 4 times. They also sacked Trey Lance. Didn't they sack Trey Lance?
Well,
that must have been the 5th sack.
Don't you think when they were coming back, and when Bill made that unfortunate fumble, and that was the only mistake he made all day.
Right.
When he made that unfortunate fumble, and they were coming back down the field, and I saw every time they blitzed, they got to him or they rattled Justin. And when they didn't blitz, Justin was finding open people.
Yeah, because he's really good and our coverage isn't that great. But the pressure yesterday was, I mean, it wasn't all blitz created, and everybody got after the quarterback yesterday. Wagner did. Miller did. Newton did. Dorrance did. Jacob Martin did. I mean, everybody pressured the passer yesterday. Everybody did. It was the reason defensively they got the results after that first quarter and a half. And part of it was not only did they come in banged up, but they lost players along the offensive line during the game.
That's true. That's true, too. And I get it. But when you're playing against the Bears next week, the one thing I will say is, look, we all know that Ben Johnson is known for he's going to play Caleb over the center. That's a prime example to go get Caleb just blitz right there. Right there, you can blitz right there.
Well, can you save next week's game plan for Friday or Monday show? Can you do that?
Yes, my Pisces brother. I will do that.
Yes, my Pisces brother. Good. All right, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go for a swim. I'll talk to you later in the week. G from the shop. Do it. What's up?
Oh yeah. Everything better on Victory Monday, man. And Jaden tough as a mug. He ain't scared of contact. He knows how to slide, and he's smart enough to figure out when to slide. You know what I'm saying? Man, he's process oriented, Sheehan, because he daggone be going through all his reads. He's not scared in that pocket. Man, we got the one. But I told you before the game started, we was gonna have a big defensive game. And everything except one more interception would have got all my predictions right. I love shutting Tom Brady up because he said before the half was over, I think they're probably going to end up trying to just run the clock out, and then we throw the ball to McCaffrey. And then when the Chargers about to score down on the goal line, they read the time of possession, and Tom Brady says, "See, this is when you start seeing defenses get wore down, tired. The very next play, tip pass, interception, man. I love shutting Tom Brady up. I think he doesn't really like us as an organization.
You know what? I get that sense and got that sense last year too. I don't know what it is, but maybe other fan bases feel the way. By the way, I think Brady's become very good at doing this. Obviously, he was going to be good as long as he could communicate well and communicate in a way that everybody could understand. And I think he's gotten good at that. But I have had that same sense in the games that he's called that he's not a big fan of our squad. I don't know why that is. But anyway, what else you got?
We had that question, how do we fix the defense? You send that pressure, man, because we can't cover an infant up. Anybody can get open against us. And in the zone, you get your hands up, Frankie Louvu. Honestly, I think if we had made some tackles and Louvu get his hands up down there on that one touchdown they get, I think we hold them to 3 points. We one of the best teams in the league, Sheehan. I really
By the way,
believe it,
Louvu missed some tackles again yesterday.
Oh, no. He stunk the gym up in the first half. He came on later in the second half and played a better game, but he definitely was stinking the gym up in the first half, Sheehan.
All right, G. Bones, finish it up for us.
Man, thanks for taking my call, man. I really appreciate y'all. Shout out to my nephew, G, from the shop, man.
Yep.
Hey, look, man, I just like how the puppies are growing, man. And then you got to see my man Connolly, man, when he pulling on them sweeps, man. Connolly was coming out that line pulling on them sweeps, looking real good, man. So, man, I want to give shout out to all the puppies on the team, man. Connolly, McGee, you know what I'm saying? McCaffrey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, man, we looking good. Jaden is coming around. He's real comfortable in his offense, and he got a lot of confidence, man. Look out, man. Here we come. Thanks for taking my call, man. Love you guys, man.
Thanks, Bones. Appreciate it. It really, I mean, having Jaden Daniels back on the field, and for the first time, look, I think we're going to look back at that Giant game. It's week one. Week one's strange. That Giant defense is legit. They did the same thing to Herbert last week. And by the way, they didn't lose to the Saints yesterday because of their defense. Dart turned the ball over a bunch of times in that game, and the Saints had a defensive touchdown and almost a second defensive touchdown. They started the season, the first two games, with two excellent defensive teams. In the Giants and in the Packers, and you had the Packers on a short turnaround. That's why early season stuff, man, you can't put a lot of stock into it. But it really did feel like, and Paulie said this, and I talked about it in the open to the show. I think that 3rd and 16 was the beginning of his season, of his 2025 season. They're not going to, not count the first two games. They're going to count. But it is a massive difference. All due respect to Marcus Mariota, who does a nice job as a backup quarterback. Jaden Daniels, as my boy Tommy says, is the sun in which all planets revolve around. And those planets are everybody in that building. He is the guy that gives our team a chance every week to beat teams that were better than, to beat teams that were as good as, and to beat teams that are probably better than our team personnel overall. He is special, and we saw it after those first two drives and after that 3rd and 16. And add to that something we've got this year we didn't have last year, is we've got a game-impacting running back. Didn't have that last year. I mean, Eckler, when he was healthy, was definitely a weapon. But as a runner, they haven't had anything resembling Krosky Merritt. And that's one of those, maybe too early, but his running style is a perfect fit. And Jaden elevates that running game, gives it him a chance to even have easier runs. Yeah, it's back on after what seemed to be doom and gloom after the loss in Atlanta. Of course, it's the NFL. We might feel differently a week from tomorrow morning. All right, we're going to try to get to Ben next. We've got so many NFL games. Maybe the most improbable win of the year happened yesterday, along with maybe the best game of the year. We'll hit on all that when we come back. Kevin Sheehan Show, Team 980, theteam980.com. Don't forget, you can watch us on the Team 980 YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button and hit the like button when you get there. is awake. He's alive. I'm assuming he red-eyed it back from L.A. last night after the game, but he is home, and he joins us right now as he does every Monday in the 12 o'clock hour at Ben Standig on X, on Twitter. Ben's got a podcast called Last Man Standing, and he writes and reports on this team Substack style, Last Man Standing. All right, let's start where we always start, which is give me your big takeaways. What'd you think?
Yeah, I did take the red eye. Yes, I will be going back to sleep right after we talk. But we're here.
You sound great. You sound great. By the way, you know what? Did you sleep on the red eye?
No, well, because, I'm like still too wired, No, I didn't.
All right. Well, you got in at what, like 5:50, 6 a.m., something like that. You've slept enough. You got to work.
Sure.
We got a long day. We got Quinn talking later on today. Got a long day. So get after it. You got coffee. You're going to be fine.
Absolutely. This is the professionals. All right. Look. I mean, we talked about this obviously last week, and I wrote about this the end of last week that I thought that this game was going to go a long way towards the discussion about perception versus the reality of where this team is. Because, if the game had continued as, the first quarter on to some degree, we'd be going, okay, well, this is now, a third straight road loss where they really haven't been that competitive, and the defense is getting pushed around, and, so on and so on. And maybe, hey, Jaden comes back and the offense didn't pick itself up. But, the end result was that we can look back at a team that last year was, overall pretty resilient across the board, that, found ways to win even when things were for a moment or two went the wrong way. And this group, obviously, I'm sure you've talked about the Quan Martin play being, feeling like a catalyst. And then there were some other moments along the way that did as well. The roughing the penalty call on when Tressway gets blasted, Mikey Sanderson's interception, right at the goal line. There were moments where, the game could have gone either way, and they were the team that, for better or for worse, was able to figure out how to get on the good side of things. And that's what you ultimately, want to see. Some days you're, even when you're the better team, some days it's just not going to be your day, but can you still find a way to get stuff done? And, by and large they did. Then on top of it, Jaden looks, all things considered, looks pretty good. And it's not, he wasn't spectacular, but I wrote he was more smart than spectacular in this game, which is something you need to see, the way he was able to avoid hits, throw the ball away, things along those lines. This is the first week where Bill is the main guy. Played his most snaps, 28, had, was dominating the touches in the backfield. I mean, the fact that he had 150 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns and 2 catches, but only on 28 snaps.
Yeah, 16 touches.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been kind of like, hey, could you just give him the ball more? Like, I get it, you're slow playing it a little bit because, whatever, rookie, and you still got to learn a few things and all that. But, this was a game where obviously they were able to get him going. Debo continues to be, a one-man band in the passing game, but, Luke McCaffrey, does just enough of that 50-yard play to be helpful. And then the defense, I thought the specific key to the game going in was, would this defense that has been erratic this year be able to take advantage of the Chargers, offensive line woes without their 2 starting offensive tackles. Herbert's getting pressured a lot. And again, it started slow, but then by the second quarter, they were all over him, and eventually led to, just making more plays defensively. So I think, what is this a game where you and I could be sitting here and be nitpicky and say, hey, look, they're still giving up too many big plays. There's a concern here, there's a concern there. Of course, but this is the NFL. That's going to happen. They found a way to win on the road against a team that was, 3-0, started the year 3-0, that has an excellent quarterback in Herbert, one of those guys that we all discussed before the year started, like, oh boy, how are they going to beat this guy? And they did. And, by next week, we may be going, oh man, they couldn't beat the Bears. But right now, hey, they won. They found a way. And,
of course that's possible.
Yeah, but like you said, right now they found a way. And, in this league, that's kind of all you can ask for us at times. And, there are positive signs across the board in the win to boot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most positive is that their best player by miles was back on the field and made a big difference. It's funny because I said about 90% of the game was played with, really good decisions by him. I don't know if you guys talked about it, in the press box. The second play of the game after a 7-yard throw to Debo, Cliff calls quarterback power. And he gets absolutely blown up for -2. I just couldn't believe that after 3.5 weeks and a knee injury, they called quarterback power on the second snap. It was actually counter. There was some counter action in there too, and he gets blown up. And then he tried to go for it on a scramble in the second half on 2nd and 8 and got blown up a little bit. But I thought for the most part he made great decisions. But man, it is a different team with him in there. The running game is a big beneficiary to him being back as well. And you mentioned, the forced fumble and then the 3rd and 16 after that were 2 plays that just completely turned the game around because they were getting their ass kicked through the first quarter and a half. I mean, it felt like, oh my God, we are going to be in massive doom and gloom mode this week if this continues. And it didn't. They got a couple of big plays. And I wanted to ask you, there was a lot of discussion by Quinn. I don't know if you got this quote from Quan Martin where he said violence solves everything. It's such an interesting quote, but in that sport, he's not wrong. But, Quinn talked about down 10-0, not feeling like it was 10-0. I felt like it was more than 10-0 in the moment, but that they had great practice in LA. There was a real sense of urgency. I did think they played that way, but talk about just sort of their reaction and their ability to bounce back and what they had going at the end of last week into this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you talk, we typically discuss things along the lines of, hey, they need what are they doing at receiver without Terry and McLaurin? Are we confident about their offensive line despite the changes made? Is, so-and-so getting picked on defensively, whatever it may be. But the thing that's important is that they've got this really high floor when it comes to, kind of what you're talking about, a certain amount of professionalism, a certain amount of care, a certain amount of, hey, we've been here. We're a veteran team. We're not going to let this stuff go. And this is, we wonder sometimes, are they too old? They have too many 30-something-year-old dudes. But this is the upside of having those kinds of guys that have been there, done that. I mean, right, Bobby Wagner gets 14 tackles yesterday. Von Miller gets 1.5 sacks, as examples. And obviously those things are somewhat circumstantial in the moment, but it's also not surprising that these are among the guys that had the bigger days when they needed it, because I think they did feel like, hey, the Atlanta game, this is to me why, like I said, it wasn't just if they lose this game and they're 2-3 and, this, that, and the other. It's that the way they were losing was disheartening. If you're viewing this team as somebody that could be another playoff team again, a repeat last year, you can't lose the way they were losing. Even with Jaden back, they obviously were pretty miserable in that Green Bay game with him. But this is why there's reason to believe there's 5, and then there's the resolve that the group has collectively that we've now seen, for, a year plus. And, I think that, look, I mean, Quinn says that they had a great practice on Friday. He said he believed that there was something different. Look, these are things that you can easily say after a win that we're not going to be able to say, oh, come on, what are you talking about? You just can't, it's harder to say these things after you lose. But hey, if he thinks it's true and they believe it and they played like it, it's hard for me to argue that otherwise. So, again, kudos to them for recognizing you can't just keep saying, hey, we'll figure it out. They had to figure it out. And, in a lot of ways they did.
What'd you think of the end of the first half? I mean, just a crazy, circumstance. They were aggressive going for it, not just once, but twice after the roughing the punter. What were you thinking in that moment when 1st and 10 from their own 7, they went after it?
it's funny because Jaden is there. The idea of it being like an overly conservative moment, I don't know if it really crossed my mind the way it should have, considering everything that was going on. I mean, including like they really hadn't played well for much of the half. But, again, it's always an interesting discussion about momentum. There are people, with more of an analytical bent who don't believe that momentum exists. Like it's, and it's hard to you can't really prove it, right, scientifically. But in that moment, boy, it sure felt like something was flipped going Washington's way. And, the fact that you're throwing a 50-yard bomb down the field to Luke McCaffrey, of all people, his only catch, of the day. It's not the play where you're going, okay, let's dial this up to a guy that's been proven over time. But sometimes, again, when momentum is going your way, Jaden's there, and, it's not something you would definitely recommend. You might just say, hey, go into halftime down 3. You're good. You guys look a little bit better. And they were like, no, we're gonna keep going here. I think that's a clear sign of, well, obviously there's Cliff's just general aggressiveness, same with Quinn, but also, the faith you have in Jaden Daniels to figure out how to make a play.
Yeah, I actually was looking at a play during the last break. It's the last play before the punt deep down. Bud Dupree is literally within like a half of an inch of a strip sack fumble in the end zone. That could have been a massive play. It was incomplete. Jaden got it off barely. And then the punt came, and then, the 50-yarder. Talking to Ben Standig, of course. Did they get out of this game unscathed health-wise?
I was trying to think. I don't recall. Again, they don't always necessarily tell us everything, but I'm not remembering much. Every time we kept hearing an injury update, it always felt like it was on the Charger side of things. Obviously, they have enough going on between Terry and Noah Brown, and Sam Coggins is a different story. We'll see, but I think as far as I know, for the most part, they did, and obviously that's a welcome sign to say the least. After what they've gone through, plus they get John Bates back in this game. Percy Butler didn't really play much defensively, but he was available as well. So some positive signs. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it was like, can they hold on just enough over these weeks with all these people hurt to be effective? It's you can't. How do you judge a team, especially on offense, when you don't have your top 2 outside receivers, et cetera? But they've been able to figure it away. And by the way, Deebo Samuel, I go back to the training camp. I said to me he was the most outstanding player of camp. And I mean, it's even more remarkable because at that point, Terry was back when the season was starting, and this, that, and the other. He told me he was the only guy that had not just only more than 2 catches, only 2 targets. I mean, it was pretty apparent. We're going to this guy, and he still kept making plays.
He's been incredible this year. And, to me, the key to the rest of this season, these final, now, they played 5, so they got another 12 left, is just keeping the quarterback and Deebo Samuel healthy. Because they proved that with the 2 of them out there, they're more than capable of overcoming almost anything, including the missing in action of some of the other players. I want Terry back. Don't get me wrong. I can just hear it. Oh, you're blowing off Terry. I'm not blowing off Terry. They need him back too. But the addition of Krosky Merritt and his importance, along with Jaden being back with Deebo, who's been phenomenal, they're going to have a chance every week, including next Monday night, a week from tonight. All right. Thanks. Go get some sleep before Quinn talks. I'll talk to you later.
Awesome, man. See you guys. Thanks.
We'll finish up going around the NFL. There were some amazing games yesterday, including Philadelphia and Buffalo. The last 2 remain unbeatens, going down for the first time.
All right, happy Victory Monday, everybody. It was a rough start for your Washington Commanders yesterday, but they turned it right around after Quan Martin laid a big hit on Quentin Johnston to jar the ball loose. The Commanders come back to score 27 unanswered points over the final 3 quarters. Washington wins 27-10. And Jaden Daniels, he becomes first player in NFL history with 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing through his first 20 games. Looking around the NFC East, the Cowboys cruise to an easy win over the New York Jets despite an attempt at a comeback when it was already too late. Cowboys win 37-22. The New York Giants, they fall to the New Orleans Saints. Spencer Rattler completes 2/3 of his passes for 225 yards and a touchdown. Jackson Dart threw the ball 40 times for 2 interceptions as the Giants tried to climb back, but the Saints, they pull out the win 26-14. Philadelphia Eagles, they go up against the Denver Broncos and we're up 17-3 headed into the final frame of action. The Broncos battle back to score 18 points in the fourth quarter and pull off a game-winning field goal with 1:14 left in the game. The Eagles try a Hail Mary, and it does not work. Broncos win 21-17. Postseason baseball, Mariners, they beat the Tigers 3-2 to tie the series at 1 game apiece. And the Blue Jays, they smoked the New York Yankees in a game that could have been on NFL Red Zone with all that scoring. Vlad Guerrero Jr. with a grand slam in the fourth inning, busted the game wide open. Blue Jays win 13-7. On tap tonight, we got Monday Night Football. Kansas City Chiefs travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. That'll be going tonight at 8. Pregame starts right here on the Team 980 and over on our sister station 106.7 The Fan at 7 p.m. This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live every day from 10 to 1, and you can catch Denton's office throughout all football season. Don't forget to hit the like button whenever you do decide to join us and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
The biggest plays and clutch moments.
Oh, look out! Touchdown! A miracle!
It's time to go around the NFL.
They got one shot at it. No pressure on the quarterback. He's got time to heave it. There's a whole pack of people there, and it's incomplete. And there's no flag. And the Broncos have their signature win.
Jim Nantz on the final Hail Mary, where both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown went up together to try to make the catch. It kind of screwed it up because I think if it's just one of them, they actually had a shot on it. Philadelphia loses for the first time, 21-17. This is a team that I think it's too early to say and be worried, because last year, through 4 games, it looked like it was going to be a repeat of the 2023 season. But they're clearly, as Devontae Smith said after the game, not on the same page offensively. They had a 17-3 lead, and then the rest of the game was punt, 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 Hail Mary, lose the game 21-17. Meantime, we talked about this guy last week, Nick Benito, and what a star he has turned into in Denver. 2.5 sacks. They had 6 sacks in total on Jalen Hurts. Denver's defense is legit. And then 3 quarters, basically, Vic Fangio had Denver completely bottled up. The Philly defense is not the problem right now. It's the Philly offense. And then all of a sudden, Bo Nix got loose. Sutton got loose. They scored and they went for 2 with still a lot of time left in the game. Sean Payton rolling the dice. I think in that spot, maybe him and Dan Campbell are about the only 2 that would even think about it. The Broncos beat the Eagles. Eagles 4-1 now. With the Giants in a short turnaround game on the road in the Meadowlands. Keep in mind, the Eagles are struggling right now, but their next 3 opponents are the Giants twice and the Vikings. And who knows if McCarthy will be back for the Vikings or not. So they've got a chance to kind of continue to win games as they're figuring it out. This is a harvest your nuts Eddie Jordan situation for Philly, because they are definitely not hitting on all cylinders. Let's go to the game of the day, late afternoon in Seattle.
Got it! And Tampa Bay will win it on a walk-off 39-yard field goal. What an incredible season they have put together to get out of the gates. And now
Chase McLaughlin's field goal was good. That came after really the only bad play either of the 2 quarterbacks made. Darnold, ball was tipped off a helmet, but intercepted by Levante David, and that set up the game-winning field goal. 38-35. The quarterback play in combination was one of the best combined quarterback performances in NFL history. Heard something that basically for both quarterbacks to have an 80% completion percentage, both throw for over 300 yards in the game, it's the first time it's happened since the 50s. Mayfield was 29-33 for 379 and 2 touchdowns, ended up with a 134.7 passer rating, a 90.7 QBR. Darnold, 28-34 for 341 and 4 touchdowns, a 95.8 QBR, and a 135.4 passer rating. I think these are 2 good football teams, 2 really good football teams, and one mistake decided it. If not, the game probably goes to overtime. But Tampa gets a big road win at Seattle to get to 4-1 on the year. They play the Niners this coming week and then the Lions after that. I mean, there's some NFC heavyweight matchups between now and the end of the year. Seattle has the Jags next week, with the Jags coming in on a short week after tonight's Monday night game. Let's go to Sunday Night Football. Buffalo for the Patriots and the Bills.
Pressure right at him. He gets rid of it, and it's caught. What a play to Diggs for the first down across the 40-yard line. Drake May, what a play. Wow.
That was an insane play. That was late in the game, 20-20. 1st and 10. He is pressured, forced out of the pocket. He is about to get sacked. He's going down, and he just sidearmed it in the general direction of Stephon Diggs. Unbelievable play by Drake May, who had a very good second half and really was a leader in beating Buffalo 23-20. First time in a long time for the Patriots over the Bills in Buffalo. Josh Allen and the Bills, too many turnovers. Allen had a fumble, a pick. Keon Coleman had a fumble. 3 turnovers. That ended up being the difference in the game. The Bills are losers for the first time, 4-1, and what a job Vrabel is doing in New England. Let's go to the Meadowlands for Dallas and the Jets.
The wrong decision, just a really good design by the Dallas defense.
Prescott loads up. Pickens, hand fighting into the end zone. Touchdown!
This game was not really indicative of the final score. It was a one-sided blowout, 37-22. Dak Prescott, 4 touchdown passes, no picks. The Cowboy fans were chanting MVP. He is having a phenomenal season. That Cowboy offense was missing multiple offensive line starters. Unlike the Chargers, they overcame it, rolled up a bunch of yards. Javonte Williams, I've always loved him. He is staying healthy, and he's having himself a season. And they're doing this without CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of offensive linemen that are out. I got to tell you, I watched some of this game. Justin Fields, I've always thought maybe, and it's probably too early to bail. This dude just holds the ball way too long. Cowboys at 2-1 with the Panthers on deck before they get Washington in a late afternoon 4:25 game on October 19th. That is shaping up to be a huge game in the NFC East. If the Skins can get the win against the Bears to get to 4-2, Cowboys likely to go on the road, not a given, and beat the Panthers. They'd be 3-2-1. That would be a big Washington-Dallas mid-October game. There's so much we didn't get to, including the absolute wildest finish of the year in Arizona between the Titans and the Cardinals. We'll do more of the rest of the NFL on tomorrow's show, but that's it for the day. Stay tuned. Chris is next.